You know, I can't wait to, to start living again, really. To start feeling like life is going back to some form of normality and that we can, make up for lost time. I don't know if that's exactly the right way to see it. I, I guess I'm making these things as a way to document how I see the world in Melbourne, but also the world in a larger sense, going forward, the microcosm and the macrocosm. I'm curious also how things, for all of the spectacle of this death, statistics, the idea of the plague or a pandemic, and how you would think that it would change people. But I remember reading about World War II and people in the Blitz in London, how they were, and how they changed back to how they were prior to the war, after the war ended. They didn't actually change that significantly. They kind of just adapted to the situation, to the acute situation, knowing that it wouldn't last forever. So they became more open, because I think the idea that they became more honest, more open, in a way more authentic, because they knew that they could die at any time, a bomb could just fall on them. And I think the immediacy of that can't be, for most people, for societies, can't be sustained for, a long time, hundreds of years or whatever, or even probably more than a decade, that sort of behaviour in the population. But I think in individuals, I feel more like this of myself in some respect. You go through a sort of, I guess, a trauma, that perhaps predates the crisis itself, or is part of the crisis, or it comes from the crisis. And you kind of become a lot more aware of, really your own mortality and the mortality of everyone. Like from the prince to the pauper, they're all gonna. And it's that thing where all of these attempts to try to be something or someone, or earn this much money, or do this or do that, and you kind of realize it's a chimera, it's like a shimmering, it's like a glittering image, it's not real, it's an illusion. And I do wonder, Marcel Proust talks about, in Remembrance of Things Past, this idea of a man in this context, working his way through life and trying to comprehend what it is. Like, should I have love? Should I have the family, a wife, this and this? Should I make money? Should I try to impress the higher up people, the richer people, the aristocrats, this and that? Or is it like that it's about art and creativity, and is that, as I was like a child, is that what actually is what's going to make me the most happy and the most content as a human? And that plus a human connection with people who, like me, for me, not that I have to constantly put on different clothes and readapt and speak in a different way, but I'm just me. And if they like that, then they like that. And there is the affinity. But not trying to do this with everyone. As it doesn't matter, you waste your whole life trying to do this, and then you flop into the grave exhausted and told, oh well, you didn't try enough anyway, and you're dead. But if you just are yourself, irrespective of trying to make friends with people who you don't want, like this I was saying last night, or the last video with when I was talking about this date that never happened. But it's a good point. It doesn't matter to me, because this person showed their hand with the card right on the table. They're like, well, this is obviously a person who I don't want to meet anyway, because he was just someone who was obviously not interested, was using me, or probably uses many people. One assumes, right? You can take how one person does one thing is how they do everything. That's like one of the life lessons for you kids watching. sorry to point, but is the way a man or a woman or whoever does one thing in their life, the way that they speak, the way that they dress, the way that they walk, all of that, but even the way that they hold their knife and fork, or the way that they conduct themselves with a waiter or a service person or whoever, you can tell a lot from that. There's not much you need. You just need to see it once. And once you see it, you can see exactly what they will be like. Because it's like thought is speech, and speech becomes action. And so it's quite simple. How they behave is how they behave, and that's how you see them. And then you understand that that's probably who they are inside. And then whether or not you want to be friends with them is the point. So, or you want to be around them. So I think for me that's very much something that's gravitating in my head at the moment, because we're coming back into a social space, right? We're coming out of lockdown, and without a lockdown, it's intrinsically more of a social matrix being re-put together, like a spider, like we're all spiders, spinning our own webs in order to reconnect with each other. But I think we need to realize that, there is going to be people who are maladapted, and there's going to be people who are already quite problematic, let's say, to begin with, and they're going to come as well out of the woodwork, right? So I think that that's just something I wanted to say, but yeah, whatever it's worth, I don't know. Anyway,